Hola amigos, ¿qué tal? Stuart here from Spain Speaks with a Spain news update. And the Ceuta migration crisis is again making headlines, and it's causing more headaches for the government, but more about that in just a moment. Firstly, a big thanks to all of the people that left comments on the last video. Lots of comments, lots of debate happening there as usual. Thanks to people that supported the channel by buying merchandise, and a big thanks to my patrons on Patreon for your support. Now, let's get into the news, and as I said, the migration crisis that made headlines a few months back making headlines again today. As we all know, Spain had a diplomatic crisis with Morocco, which caused Morocco to open its side of the border, and thousands of people entered the North African autonomous city of Ceuta. And now it's been reported that Spain has started to return youth migrants to Morocco, and people are not happy about that. As we can see here, Spain starts returning Moroccan minors after Ceuta migration crisis. Spain on Friday started sending hundreds of Moroccan youths who in May crossed into its North African enclave of Ceuta back to Morocco after reaching an agreement with Rabat, Spanish media reported, signalling an improvement in ties after a long row. La Ser radio cited sources in Ceuta as saying the minors were already being transported to Morocco in small groups using vans from a sports complex converted into a makeshift reception centre. Neither officials at the Foreign and Interior Ministries nor the Ceuta Regional Administration were immediately available. So, the Spanish government has started sending the youth migrants back to Morocco, but they didn't tell anybody about it. And what's the reason for that? Well, obviously they thought they would cop a lot of backlash, and they have. As we can see here, rights groups slam Spain over child deportations to Morocco. Human rights groups have denounced Spain's expulsion of hundreds of unaccompanied children to Morocco, calling the deportations illegal and urging an immediate halt to the process. Amnesty International spokesman Ángel González said that the deportations of minors and refugees began on Friday and continued on Saturday. The Spanish radio station Cadena SER said 15 children were deported from Spain's North African enclave of Ceuta so far. The Interior Ministry has not officially announced the repatriations and did not immediately respond to requests for comment or confirm the numbers of children affected. Spain is legally obliged to care for young migrants until their relatives can be located or until they turn 18. So there we go. That's the reason that the government decided to keep hush, because human rights groups are up in arms. And as we saw, the government is legally obliged to look after these minors until they can find their relatives or they turn 18. But as we know, youth migration in Spain is a very, very hot topic. It was one of the main focuses of the far-right party Vox in their Madrid election campaign, as Vox sees the problem of unaccompanied foreign youth in Spain as one of the reasons for an increase in crime. So, what will the government do? Will they continue to deport these minors, or will they stop the process? Most likely the latter. Now, as we know, the south of Europe is in the middle of a heat wave, and record temperatures have been recorded. As we can see here, the Córdoba town of Montoro beats the historic heat record in Spain, reaching 47.2 degrees Celsius. The first heat wave of the summer has reached its peak this Saturday, with maximum and minimum temperatures above normal. In the Córdoba town of Montoro, an all-time record high temperature was reached in Spain, with 47.2 degrees, recorded at 5:10 p.m. Until now, the maximum had been recorded at Córdoba Airport, which reached 46.9 degrees on the 13th of July 2017. The high temperatures have put 16 provinces on red alert after a night in which temperatures above 34 degrees were recorded in Madrid and Seville. So 47.2 degrees Celsius recorded in that town there in Córdoba, a record for Spain. And as the text also said, both maximum and minimum temperatures above normal. But not all of the country is suffering a heat wave, and if you want to escape the heat in Spain, head north. As we can see, cool northern Spain attracts domestic tourists in the middle of a heat wave. Galicia is experiencing the ideal temperature in the middle of the heat wave in the rest of Spain. Hot during the day, although not oppressive, and cool at night. In the last few days, Spanish tourists have been rushing to find a hotel on the Galician coast to escape the heat. Here, we are already at 100%. We have filled up these last days because everyone is looking for the coolness, says Oscar Fontan, director of the Hotel Thalasso in San Xenxo. The beaches are full of people looking to enjoy the sun but without extreme temperatures. We come from Valladolid. You can't even go out on the street there, explains a tourist on his first day of holiday. This Saturday, for example, the temperature did not rise above 20 degrees until after 11:30 in the morning in San Xenxo, and the maximum of the day was 27 degrees. So there we go, cooler weather in the north of Spain, especially in Galicia. Now Galicia is again making headlines today because the High Court there has overruled mandatory COVID passports. As we can see, Galician court overturns compulsory COVID passport in the hotel and catering industry. The High Court of the Justice of Galicia has decided that the COVID passport will not be required to be shown in order to gain access to the interior of bars and restaurants. As already ruled in Andalusia, Cantabria and the Canary Islands, in less than 24 hours the Galician magistrates have reached the same conclusion. According to judicial sources, the judges have notified this Saturday the operative part of the order, whose full content will be announced in coming days. The court agrees to deny the judicial authorization of the measures consisting of the exhibition of documentation for access to certain establishments. This is what appears in the extract provided to the media about the negative decision. So no COVID certificate required to access the interior parts of bars and restaurants in Galicia. But this court decision means, I imagine, that the government there in Galicia is now going to bring in more restrictions when it comes to opening and closing times and how many people can sit inside a restaurant at the same time and have lunch or dinner. So what's better for the business owner? Asking for a COVID certificate or more restrictions? Now let's have a look at a summary of the health situation in Spain. We can see that the accumulated incidence rate for the last 14 days is now down to 462. There are still 9,308 COVID patients in hospitals around the country, and there are 1,922 COVID patients in ICU. If we have a look at Spain's COVID hotspot, the Balearic Islands, we can see that the incidence rate there is sitting at 619, but the good news there is that daily cases are down 17% on previous data. When it comes to Spain's vaccination plan, we can see that 62.23% of the population have completed their vaccinations and 72.61% of the population have received at least one dose. Now the anti-Spain press in the UK is at it again, and iNews UK is asking the question, could Spain go on the red list? What surge in COVID cases among returning Brits means for next travel update. Large numbers of holidaymakers returning from Spain are testing positive for COVID, raising concerns that the UK's most popular foreign travel destination could be in danger of moving to the red list. More than 1 in 35 travellers arriving in Britain from Spain were found to have the virus, according to new figures. Data from the NHS Test and Trace shows that 2.9% of travellers who visited the holiday hotspot tested positive at some point in the first 10 days after arrival in the UK. So there we go, large numbers of holidaymakers returning to the UK from Spain are testing positive for COVID, and they're asking the question, could Spain go on the red list? I'd never heard of the publication iNews, but I looked it up on Google and it belongs to the Daily Mail, so no surprises there. Now let's have a look at some of the comments from previous videos. One here from Joe, wow, this heat wave is incredible. I am writing this sitting on my terrace in Madrid. Very pleasant now to be outside. I wrote this around 1 AM and it was still around 30 degrees Celsius. Usually I love the heat, but even for me, this is a little bit much during the day. It's almost impossible to sleep with this heat, as cannot leave the aircon on all night, as it would cost a fortune, even though I have a fixed United price with Iberdrola, so not affected yet by the record energy prices. Yeah, Joe, thanks for the comment, and people have told me that it is very hot in Madrid at the moment. Very hot during the day and very hot at night, and like you said, very, very hard to sleep. And you're right, high energy prices in the country at the moment mean that a lot of people are thinking twice before turning their air conditioning units on. And I read earlier today that shopping centres in Madrid are noticing an increase in people spending the whole day there trying to escape the heat. And it's actually a good idea. If it gets too hot at home, head to the local shopping centre. One here from Maria, gracias, Asturias 22 degrees. Yeah, Maria, thanks for the comment. We saw earlier in the video that a lot of people from the hotter parts of the country are heading to the north to escape the heat. Galicia, Asturias, Cantabria, I think, are the only 3 autonomous communities in Spain that are not experiencing high temperatures at the moment. And the majority of my friends in Madrid have also headed north this summer. So if you want to escape the heat in Spain, you know where to go. One here from John, hi, is there any way we can extend the 90 days travel restrictions in Spain, as we would like to tour the country next year with our motorhome? Thanks. Yeah, John, thanks for the comment. I don't think it's easy to escape that 90-day rule, but it's not impossible. There are different visas that you can apply for. For example, you can apply for a non-lucrative visa, but you have to be able to prove that you can support yourself financially during your time in the country. I'm not sure exactly how much money you need to prove you have in order to get this visa, but I think it's over €2,500 a month. So that's one option, but there could be more. And what I'll do is open the question up to the community. If anybody does have another option for John, please let him know in the comment section below. One here from Trevor. Stuart, when you speak of rugby, please be specific. There are 2 varieties, league and union. Which version did you mean? I know, but your viewers may not. Yeah, Trevor, thanks for the comment, and you're right, there are 2 types of rugby. Rugby League and Rugby Union. I mentioned rugby the other day because I said that broadcaster Alan Jones was the head coach of the Australian rugby team. I think I said the Wallabies, and if I say the Wallabies, then it can only be one sport, and that's rugby union. But I will try to be more specific the next time I talk about rugby. One here from Ron. We are lucky to have made it to our place in Granada province. We drive back through Spain and France back to Britain at the weekend. We have had a relaxing few days in our cave, no need for expensive air conditioning, even in these oppressive temperatures. You should come and visit the Altiplano. Yeah, Ron, thanks for the comment, and good to see that you have been able to enjoy a few weeks down there in your cave in Granada. And I suppose there isn't a need for air conditioning if you live in a cave. And to be honest, I haven't heard much about the region you mentioned there, the Altiplano region in Granada, but I'll definitely put it on my list of places to visit in the near future. One here from AFTP. Hipra is not the name of the vaccine, but the name of a company known for its vaccines for animals. It's from the hometown of Puigdemont, Amer in Girona. Yeah, thanks for the comment. I did mention this company the other day because we were talking about the Spanish COVID-19 vaccine, which is being produced by the company that you mentioned there, Hipra or IPRA in Spanish, I believe. And you're right, it is not the official name of the vaccine, but as we all know, the COVID-19 vaccines that we currently have are known by the names of the companies that produce them. For example, the Pfizer vaccine, Moderna vaccine, AstraZeneca vaccine, and the Janssen vaccine. So that, I imagine, is why the press in Spain is referring to this vaccine as the IPRA vaccine. And finally, one here from Margaret. Would like to say thanks. Your videos are very informative. Yeah, Margaret, thanks for the comment. Glad to see you find the videos informative, and thanks for saying thanks. I would also like to take this moment to give a big thanks to all of the people that like these videos and find them informative. On that note, I'll wrap the video up. Questions and comments, please leave them in the section below. Debate the video out as you normally do. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't. I'll see you in the next one. Hasta luego.